to the point that you guys mentioned about typology being helpful with relationships, I think sometimes society will punish you for your own personality, right? So they'll establish like these rules for you, like don't act this way, don't say this, don't do that, right? So you start to mute yourself. And I think sometimes people discover typology and it's the first time in their life where they're allowed to kind of look back and say, okay, who am I really if I were to remove these blockades, these societal pressures that cause me to mute myself, right? Like if I could just
Absolutely.
look at myself how I am without these things, and I'm just, real with
Okay.
myself, this is me, right? And I don't have to really apologize for that. It's like,
That's right.
now that I'm a mature version of myself, let me try to reintegrate some of that. Some of those things that I lost in my childhood, maybe when somebody told me, don't act that way, don't do that. Let me reintegrate that into my now more mature self so I could be the full version of myself with those things again added to my repertoire. That's something that I went through on within my development process. And it took work. It took actually, me moving back to where I'm from. I'm Puerto Rican originally, rediscovering my culture and those things that I had lost over time. And then when I came back, it was like I was, the full version of myself. So
Can I shine some more light on that topic?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's
go
an
ahead.
excellent point. So what you just explained is also something I went through very strongly, being that we're the same personality type, in my opinion. Craftsman, ISTP. So I want to ask you guys a few questions and kind of show you how society puts that pressure, especially on our type. Does society say that it's better to be extroverted or introverted?
In Western society, extroverted. For sure.
Extroverted.
That's right.
Yeah.
Extroverted.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody else? You agree or disagree?
Extroverted. 100% agree. 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So is the society say it's better to be thinking or feeling?
Thinking.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Does society say it's better to be judging or perceiving?
Judging.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Anybody disagree? Look at all this. We seem to understand this, don't we?
Mhm.
And does society say it's better to be sensing or intuitive? Sensing, because intuition is the future. You can't prove that. Sensing's the past. It's hard evidence.
Mhm.
So what do those letters combine to make?
ESTJ.
Yes, overseer. And did you know that overseers are the most common personality type?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And protectors are the most common personality category. So almost 50% of all people are protectors, which is overseer, examiner, defender, or supporter. So the overseer is the leader of the protectors, the most dominant type. And if you're not those things, well, what's the opposite of an overseer? It's a craftsman. ISTP is the opposite. So as a craftsman, we experience a very large amount of judgment for being so outside of the norm. And we already have an overseer in us criticizing us. We already have a female mentor, extroverted judging type, criticizing us. And now society's judging us. And boy, don't we like to rebel, because we can't handle the constraints of three masters. And so this is a very common thing that happens to craftsmen. And just as it helped you, it helped me in the exact same way to know this is what I am. This is what nature or God, whatever you believe in, made me. And I don't have to apologize for it. It doesn't hurt anybody. Just because popular opinion and democracy say that it's better to be an extroverted, thinking, sensing judger, lo and behold, it's not true. That's one way. There's a bias toward that, and society is projecting that bias onto all of us, and it's traumatizing often to many personality types. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah,
as some of my data.
That's a good insight.
Yeah.
I feel like, I've always had kind of like well, Murcer knows we've known each other for a long time.
17.
Since we were
Yeah.
like 14 years old. I've always been kind of like a lone kind of guy,
Yes.
and I don't relate to, I would say, a lot of people. I have very few friends, Murcer being one of them and like a couple others. But that's what I got Murcer for. Mercer's the guy who draws everybody in. He's like the social guy. He's so we've always been a good team. So it's been a benefit to meet a friend like Murcer, and I think that helped me a lot, especially early.
That's excellent. Well, Christian, let me say, you got a female mentor in you. Okay, that's your insecurity. Okay, and your female mentor is a people expert. Mm-hmm. As much as your craftsman side, your main ego, your personality is the opposite of that, and you're more object oriented. Your female mentor is a force to be reckoned with. And what I would suggest to you is you find good examples. Like I love Kate Blanchett in Ragnarok. That's a good one. She's a female mentor who does female mentor ideally. And this finding an ideal example of a female mentor and boosting yours with that to gain the confidence you need to overcome your insecurities will help you develop into what you feel like, well, I have kind of trouble connecting or being aware of people. Well, that might be true with your main side, but as you develop that female mentor side, you might find that flips real quick and you might just become an expert that's above average at understanding people.
Well, it's funny that you say that because in the field that we are is very female dominated. All our bosses are female. Most our coworkers are female. And that helped me so much. Just starting my career, now I feel like, well, Murcer knows now we're kind of experts at this personality stuff. It took work, but it wasn't really typology that took me to the next level. It was really like starting my career with all these powerful females around me and kind of like learning their language in a way. And awesome. it really helped me. So it's funny that you have that insight because I kind of agree with what you're saying. So
excellent.
I mean, when we were younger, Christian really didn't care. He didn't really care about people at all. Like when it came to like anything, I'm like, bro, you can't do that. Like that's like not sustainable. Like we'd be like, just to say a hypothetical situation, we'd be at a bar, and there'd be a guy who was like cool. He was a good friend of mine. Christian, like, I don't give a shit about him. And I'm like, bro, what the hell, Christian?
Yeah, I was kind of.
Now he's like, he's built it up his FE very well. Like,
yeah, definitely.
And a lot of times we used to, me and my brother, like we had a very like tight group, and like this tight group kind of we had a perfection model. Like you had to be perfect. Like anything you didn't have, we were going to pick at, right?
Yeah.
And with Christian, it was always being charismatic.
Uncharismatic.
Because we were all charismatic. So we would get on him for not being charismatic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things that he really developed now.
So
like he's
trial by fire basically got me better with people, and but also the career aspect as well. Like that helped me a lot. Both things. It took work though.
I'll tell you that. Have you guys heard of sincerity versus charm?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
So extroverted sensation type should lean toward charm, and introverted sensation type should lean towards sincerity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a charming type with my female mentor and my craftsman side. So I can charm sensing types, but I can't charm charming types. But sensing types through their sincerity can charm me. So there's a yin and yang going on there. So charisma takes two forms, sincerity or charm. So just something to be aware of through the ES and EN interactions. Also, EN and ES are sorting mechanisms. Have you ever heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
So ES sorts by difference. Okay? What's different about something? An ES mind remembers that, but an EN mind remembers how things are alike. These two things are like each other. So when like Chase points out some ironic two things that don't seem to be associated with each other at all, but they are in some way, and he points that out, that's called ironic or irony. And that's sort by like, how things are alike. So we're constantly sorting or grouping or creating buckets of information and knowledge based on how we prefer to sort things. So inwardly, I'm IN. So I want to be like, but outwardly, I'm ES. So that's not like that. So you sort by like or difference, inwardly or outwardly, based on which one's introverted or extroverted. So that's a little thing for you guys to study. It's very powerful, very helpful with understanding how to communicate to people where they live.
Okay. I'll say one thing here. C.S. Joseph, man, I really want to give you the platform here to address anything you think people misunderstand about you, man. Because, you know, if you can address anything, it really does help, you know, people.
Well, my own father made it very clear to me 2 nights ago that he thinks I'm a bully. And then to which I explained to him this morning on the phone why that is. He doesn't like asking me why. He prefers to just lead with statements of judgment instead of asking questions. But which is perfectly normal for an introverted thinking inferior function. He's an ENfj. It's very normal. All ENfjs act that way. They want to make statements of judgment without bothering to ask questions, especially clarifying questions. And in doing so, I explained to him, like, well, you know, I'm very malevolent. Why? Because my malevolence is there. You know, people are like, oh, why is C.S. Joseph such a dick all the time? Oh, that guy is a misogynist. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to actually help women consistently all the time. They're so miserable because they're not feminine, basically, but no one taught them how to be feminine, and no one challenged them to be feminine because of the lack of fatherlessness and the lack of masculinity, basically, which means the mature feminine can't exist without the presence of the mature masculine. But the point is that I'm malevolent, I'm mean, I'm an asshole, I'm insulting, but it's for your benefit. Because what I'm trying to do is like say, hey, you know, you need to learn some really big lessons. And if your father was around, these are the lessons that he would be teaching you. Because these are the lessons that I had to learn, especially at the hands of my father. So I'm giving you those same lessons, and it's going to hurt. People, I keep trying to explain to people, you cannot be comforted into wisdom. You can't. You only gain wisdom through pain. You only gain wisdom through failure. You only gain wisdom through the abuses of life. And feeling abused by life. That's how you gain wisdom. So I take it upon myself to be mean or an asshole, or in some cases, as my father would claim, a bully for the benefit of other people, because I'm just telling them the truth. And I tell it to them in a way that hurts the most, and I do it intentionally. I intentionally tell them the truth that hurts the most, because I want that to turn into a scar on their heart that they take with them every single day of their life so that they remember it. I want them to remember me emotionally maiming them so that they can learn a lesson from it, so that when they are in a situation later in life, they'll remember me doing that to them. And then as a result of that, they end up realizing, oh, dang, Chase was right. I have a concrete example. I'm really hard on INfp types, probably the most on my channel. I shit on them constantly. They're lazy. They expect everyone else to do work for them. They put their comfort zone and what they value above everyone else. They are hyper manipulative, very controlling all the time. They're obsessed with power because they have feelings of powerlessness as children. And, you know, I find them quite, as my mentor used to say, I find them quite novel. I find them very novel people. And, however, unless they read and actually gain a knowledge base, but how are they going to get the knowledge base if they're entirely enabled to sit on their ass all the time? All the time. They could become someone great like Robert Greene, who is an INfp, right? If they would just actually take the time to read nonfiction, right? Instead of just gorging themselves on Red Rising over and over and over again. So this ends up becoming like a big deal, and they've never really had somebody in their life challenge them. So what I do is I issue challenge, even from a mean perspective, but I always think to myself, is this what this person Is me treating this person this way going to be what they need right now, or is it going to be something that they're going to need much later, right? Because what I'm trying to do is permanently etch them on their souls such that they can remember my words years later, so that they can gain the benefit of that lesson years later. It may not be applicable now. Now, INFPs, they come to my channel, they watch INFP content, they get very angry, and they leave immediately and storm off in anger and shit on me on Reddit and complain and create this whole thing. Because the reason why INFPs work hard to destroy my reputation is because their extroverted thinking inferior function is their insecurity. And that's because they're afraid of their reputation being destroyed the most. That's how they are hurting. They hurt the most, or you hurt an INFP the most by destroying the reputation. That's why you can easily control them through blackmail, for example. And so they're projecting, so they harm other people in the same way that they are afraid of being harmed the most. So that's what they do. They lash out with their inferior functions through their demon functions, through cognitive orbit. So when this happens, they'll lash out at me, and then they'll try to destroy my reputation, and then they'll come back 6 to 9 months later and tell me I was right and apologize.
So
I see it over and over again.
I've got a different experience with INFPs. I think maybe you're having trouble because they have an NF temperament, right? And they like to see things come to them in a different,
in a nicer tone,
different, emotional tone, right?
Yeah.
I have a best friend who's an INFP, and she's one very hardworking person. She has learned everything from me, and that has changed her life. To the point to now she says people call her a boss woman. But that's because she's learned everything that Murcer's done. And that has put her in a very powerful position. And this goes back to what I said. I don't really care so much about etching people's souls. It's about giving people the self-improvement tools to be the best version of themselves. Whether you use it or not, that's up to you, but I'm gonna put it out there for you. I don't really care if you feel like etching a soul and all that. That's just, I feel like that might actually hurt you more than it hurts them. Really,
Oh yeah. I totally get what you're saying. But the thing is that in my experience, based on how humanity works,
he'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'll just add my insight while he comes. Basically, I feel like certain types receive information different ways, right? So some people might react positively to being mean to them, etc. But I have a friend that I know for a fact would shut down if I just yelled at him, Whereas if I come at him,
I'm just telling them the harsh facts. I mean, sometimes it's in a harsh tone. The thing is, though, is that all personality types need to be able to receive from all of the personality types instead of just having preferences and favorites all the time, because that's just how life works. Everyone has to get to a point where we're able to accept everyone's feedback and everyone's criticism. And society right now, especially Western society, due to institutionalized daycare and education, criticism is not welcome at all. They want to create an environment of an enablement of children because they're blaming, the masculine, they're blaming fathers, basically. The thing is that sometimes children need to be disabled. And the thing is that when I see young people, I see them as oftentimes spoiled brats. If I'm being malevolent to somebody, it's because I'm like, you are spoiled. So I'm just going to tell you the harsh truth of life. And you're going to cry and you're going to hate it. And then you're going to thank me for telling you a year later. That's basically what happens consistently over time. The point is that I'm not saying my way is better. I'm not saying your way is inferior. I am saying my way is valid in as much as your way is valid. That is what I'm saying. And there is room for my way of doing things, in as much as there is room for your way of doing things outside of judgment. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Respect. So it works. My brother is an ENTP. He goes kind of,
he's very harsh.
He'll give you a very harsh truth, and then you'll see it maybe a little bit later on down the road. But that also makes him alienated. That makes him, have to shoulder a lot of the world alone, or live a lot. So, like I said earlier, it kind of damages him.
I can explain why that is. I don't know why the alienation happens. Okay, fine. It happens because ENTPs are so afraid of being weak with our introverted sensing inferiors. We are so afraid of being weak that if we oftentimes, like what I'll do in certain social situations, I will intentionally alienate. The reason why is because I want to see if people around me are strong enough with their character to be able to handle the harsh truths that I tell them. And if they are, those are the people I want in my life, because those are the people that I know that I can support, that they are worth investing in, but they're also the people that I know will be willing to invest and support me, which will allow my introverted sensing inferior to aspire into a lot stronger ISFJ subconscious as through aspiration, right? And then doing so, I don't have to deal with fear of being weak anymore. However, if I'm enabling everybody and then everyone's enabling me, that's a problem. I literally, like, I have an advisory board of people literally specifically to tell me no. You know, I have people in my life that are here to just to criticize me. I will call them. My father's one example. I will call him, and then I'll say a bunch of things or whatever, and then he will let me have it with the extroverted thinking demon for like 20 minutes straight and just absolutely crush me, because that's what he does. Because my father is the cruelest human being I've ever met in my life. He's also insanely benevolent, but he goes back and forth between benevolence and cruelty consistently, a virtue and vice concept that Mr. Bryant taught me. You know, he's a very cruel person, and for good reason. And that kind of cruelty in my life, just like, it helps me, you know, not be spoiled, because I don't want to find myself the victim of the emperor's new clothes, basically. Because, you know, introverted thinking has a lot of hubris problems attached to it. And every introverted thinker can actually develop a God complex if they're not careful. You know, so
can I chime in on that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't think I wouldn't say that's true, being an introverted thinking and hero and all. There's not an arrogance factor. I like to say introverted thinking can suffer from cockiness, and introverted feeling can suffer from smugness. So they're both forms of arrogance, right? So if I'm going arrogant, I'm going to be cocky with introverted thinking. And if I'm an introverted feeler and I'm going arrogant, I'm going to be smug. Now, they're both arrogant, and introverted thinking doesn't lend itself toward arrogance. It lends itself toward cockiness. But cockiness can even be used in a positive way, though it's not, you know, something you want to wear on your sleeve because it is kind of offensive. It's not inherently wrong either. So I actually believe Jesus was a craftsman, and I think he was cocky quite often in the Bible, and yet he was sinless. So there's a right version of it that we should all be striving for. There's not an inherently negative or positive personality cognitive awareness. That's a moral issue. You know, it's a tool. Your functions are a tool, and it's like a gun. It can be used to protect your family, or it can be used to rob a store. It's not inherently right or wrong, good or bad, arrogant or, you know, humble. There's like, is there a humble function? If there's an arrogant function, is there a humble function? There's not. It's how you use it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, in my opinion.
Growing up with Murcer and his brother, so basically I'm like their brother. Like, we grew up together. Laris used to say a lot of the time the same thing, kind of like, you know, I'm harsh to everyone, and if you can stand in the heat, whoever's left over is kind of, you know, in my group. Same exact thing.
But the thing is, though, my brother wants to be loved at the end of the day. He loves being loved by people. Like, no matter what he says, he loves being loved by people. He wants to be loved by people. He wants people to take him, like, you know, the right way. And I regard my brother as one of the most, like, developed human beings on the planet, like, when it comes to a lot of stuff, especially being an ENTP. And he deep down, he wants people to love him. He wants people to reach out to him. He wants people to think highly of him. But the way he goes about things,
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
he's
And
very.
he can even alienate his own family members a lot of times, you know. Let's say me and him can get in a room, and when we're together, we're just gonna call each other stupid all day long because he's gonna say something, I'm gonna say something, but we enjoy that, right? Most people can't do that. But we like to argue, we like to present the facts, we like to just like you guys, Christian, we'll get in the room, me, Christian, and him will get in the room, and all of us will be calling each other stupid.
Yeah.
Just because that's what makes us grow. Like that's why our team, that's why our team together is very developed because we have each other and we're always, like we said, if you got a problem, we're gonna call it out, right? My brother
Murcer,
called.
can I ask you? You said it once, real quick. I didn't really catch it. Just what personality type you believe you are?
ENTJ.
TJ. So a mentor. No, a chief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A chief. Okay.
So it was a ENTJ, ISTP, and then ENTP for layers. And it was just a group of us. And
I just get
our other friend was a craftsman.
If I was to have to guess at this stage, you know, my opinion could change in time. I would say you strike me more as a persuader than a chief.
What's a persuader?
ESTP.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So you've stated a lot about your own personal perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that might be coming from your confidant female side. As a persuader, you're concerned with your own inward perfection. Chiefs aren't. So chiefs are intellectuals, and they have the shrewdness to them that Chase is exhibiting so well. A sort of shrewdness, a sort of cutthroatedness that goes along with being an intellectual. Chief, or I'll say the letters ENTJ, originator, ENTP, and then strategist and engineer, which are INTJ and INTP. So the intellectuals are opposed to the idealists, the mentor, advocate, confidant, and dreamer, the INfp mentioned before. So the idealisticness of, I see idealism in you. I see more idealism than I see the intellectual shrewdness. So it leads me to feel like you're more a persuader. Also, being a craftsman and being a creator, you're the structure type or leader type of the creators. So I'm pretty anti-authoritarian, as being that I'm a craftsman. But it takes a special type to make me want to follow them or let them structure me, and persuader's my best fit. I tend to object more to overseer, chief, and mentor way more, the other three structure types. And so again, I see your relationship with Christian seeming to work that way. I'm feeling that with you. And I see more of a creative and idealistic spin on things than I would expect from a chief. And I get along really good with chiefs, and I can spot chiefs from a mile away because chief is my cohort type. So they're my partner in crime. So chiefs and I agree on where the rules should be broken. So I immediately can spot them and I unite with them. And I'm not getting that off you. I'm getting more like you're my structure type. Well, so I just wanted to put that out there.
As someone who's known Murcer since I was 14 years old, we definitely agree on where to break the rules a little too much.
Well, persuader and a craftsman can also be that way because they have the same four functions. So, the craftsman is introverted thinking hero, and the persuader has introverted thinking parent. And the craftsman has ES parent, and the persuader has ES hero, so on and so forth. So we share all the same four functions. So we're very alike. So we have identity. You're a lot like me, but different, right? Versus opposition or opposite, which is a chief is more opposite to me in that he's an extroverted thinker. And I'm an introverted thinker, and we can hero it up together, and they can swallow my thoughts as fast as I could throw them. But as a persuader, you would be ES hero, and you would have extroverted thinking wise. and you wouldn't fully, and you'd be more like, all right, that's funny. Let's go break this rule together. So both are kind of rule breaking types because the craftsman and the persuader are pals. That's their compatibility. But then partner in crime is a whole nother level. The craftsman and the chief may not act that friendly with each other, but behind the scenes, they're totally working the system.
Yeah. I mean, I like your expertise, but I am very well aware that I'm a TE user. I'm very well aware that I'm a TE user.
Yeah,
I'm not a TI user. As you just said before, like me and Christian, I can share information with Christian. He quickly downloads whatever I share with him. So if you watch our breakdowns of our PowerPoints, that's all my work. And I go over with Christian. He downloads that, and then we do a presentation. So I am a TE user.
So you feel like you have an intellectual bend?
Yeah.
Versus creative?
Yeah.
Also, back in the day when we used to live together, it was like my friend Jared and I are TI users, and his brother as well, and we would actually make fun of him.
The only TI user in the whole group.
Okay. We would actually make fun of him for regurgitating facts from sources while we were just like throwing our own stuff at him all the time. So he was kind of like the odd man out in that household. So
So can I ask one more probing question?
Yeah,
here?
sure.
It's about your female side. Mm-hmm. So if you're a chief, you would have a female artist inside of you, artistic, creative. So you do have a creative leaning through that. Mm-hmm. Versus if you were a persuader, you would have, again, the idealistic confidant, INfj type, which is a see it through finishing type. Mm-hmm. So if you're a chief, you're a triple control. You have extroverted control through chief. You have introverted thinking, introverted sensing control through your engineer behind the scenes side. And then you have background, same thing with the artist girl, behind the scenes, introverted feeling, self-control. So you're triple control. So you'd be kind of a control freak, right? People would say, because
you can ask Christian. You can go ahead and ask Christian. He's known me for like 15, 16 years. He can pretty much answer any question. I don't even have to say anything.
Yeah, like Murcer.
So you're like, would you say he's like a behind the scenes leader?
Behind the scenes, no. Like this guy, he's like,
heads up, guys. I gotta drop in like 3 minutes. Just getting heads up.
Oh yeah, no problem. But just to end this whole conversation, basically Murcer wants to dictate what the group does, and he's very like upfront with it, And I'm like, Murcer, goddamn it, we always got to do it your way, da da da. And he's like, shut up, Christian, let's do it, da da da. And then I go along with it, and that's been our whole life pretty much. And that's basically our relationship. So.
All right, so I've got you narrowed down to persuader or chief. I'm leaning toward chief, and it won't take probably more than me watching a few more of your videos tonight to get a lock.
Definitely go for it. For me, it's kind of me and Christian's dynamic has always been, hey, this is the vision, Christian, and Christian, you got to get on board with the vision. Like I'm always gonna he may because he's pragmatic as well. He'll try to run away from it, but I'm like, yo, this is the vision, this is the path, this is the best path forward. And eventually, he may not accept it right then, but eventually he comes back to it. Even with the typology, Christian completely rebelled against it. Like, no, I'm not doing nothing with typology. No, this stuff is fake, blah blah blah.
Yeah, see,
this is my vision. This is my vision. This is what's gonna happen, and. I slowly pulled him back into it,
Okay.
He was completely done.
It appeals to me because I get to digest information and kind of, also it appeals to my interests as well because I do want to get more on camera and do more projects in public.
Yeah,
so versus hey, get on camera with me. I'm like, sure, why not? Let's do it.
But the truth is, it's like when we first started getting on camera, Christian could attest. I didn't want nothing to do with being on camera.
Yeah. That's behind the scenes. When
Christian pulled out the camera, I was like, yo, get that camera out of my fucking face. I don't even know what happened, but it just gives me so much anxiety. When it comes to watching myself, I don't even watching my videos back.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's normal, actually.
I mean, I don't even like I'm just saying, like, a lot of people go back and they like love to see themselves like talk and stuff. I don't really like to hear my voice, that type of stuff.
So are you always looking into the future, planning the next move, strategizing?
Oh yeah.
You're always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like, let's say, for instance, I may be off today for 3 days. I'm already envisioning what I'm gonna be doing the same exactly when I come back to work. Like, my rollout plan for how, like, because on my Sundays are the days where a lot of people at work are kind of like, they just live in the moment or immediate future. But when I come into work Sundays, I know I work 4 days straight and I set out like the entire map for those 4 days.
Great.
But anyways, I think CSJ has to go, correct? You have to go soon?
All right, CSJ.
But, man, we can have more conversations. There was definitely a good discussion. So we definitely want to do it again.
We'll have more conversations.
Yeah, definitely.
Ignore you guys.
Hey, see, but next time you come on, I'm going to try to get my brother on, man, so we can have both of you guys at the same time. That'd be double the fun. I can tell you, man, he's gave me one of the nastiest truth bombs when I was younger. Woo, I hate that. I mean, we get into it, but I love my brother, man. Like, he's one of the biggest supporters of my life. Like, I couldn't be me without him, right? That's why I said I would name my first child after my brother. Whenever it's born, it will be named after him because of, like, the impact that he put on me.
It's nice that you have a brother. I wish I had one.
Hey, same here. I'm my only child, so I'm in the same boat. So I ain't got no brothers. Mercer's my brother. Mercer's my brother.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, gentlemen.
All right, guys. Hey, guys, anybody watching this video, if you like this discussion, drop at least 100 likes. We're going to have him back on again. Next time, we're going to have more, day-to-day topics so we could discuss. But this conversation was just too interesting. I wanted to get to know these guys. But yeah, go ahead and like, subscribe. Murcer, you want to say anything before we go?
Yeah. The next time we get C.S. Joseph on, we're going to be digging into C.S. Joseph here. I think he's an interesting guy, and I think he's very misunderstood. I think he has a lot of great facts that he wants to share with the world. And I think a lot of times people take his message the wrong way. I know a lot of people take my brother's message the wrong way. So I can see that, naturally just, I think that this would be very great for him. I think the guy is doing great stuff. He continues to do great stuff. He's always going to be innovating. Doesn't like to do the same thing twice, Unfortunately, like myself, I can do the same thing. So, definitely check out his channel. You probably already have checked out his channel, but I do think if you're going to watch his content, just understand his point of view and where he's coming from, and understand that this man has suffered a lot in his life, right? And he is using he's channeling his suffering to create this content, right?
And I want to thank Robert as well. Super insightful. I'm hoping we see more of you, man, because you have a lot of information, and you definitely taught me some things about myself in this discussion. So thank you for that. And
no problem.
Hooray for the YouTube debut.
That's right.
It's nice that my mentor's been unveiled after so long.
I hope I didn't embarrass anybody.
No, definitely not.
Man,
definitely not.
Awesome, man. Yeah, you did awesome, man. Well,
it's great to see this stuff exploding on the internet, and I'm proud of you guys. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
I'll see y'all later.
All right, guys.